Okay, so this is the first video in the video series on how I got your application running. And we're going to start off with importing the images, one of the hardest parts of the application. And of course, I wanted to start off with a bang. But before we begin that, I want to do a overview on originally when I got your code, it was crashing a lot. There are other issues, but the one main issue I want to just skim over that topic in the beginning here, and then we can jump into the importing the app. So you may want to, when I start talking, if you already know all this and you already got that portion working, then go ahead and skip over this. This is just like a quick lesson on how Android works just in general. So when you go to different screens inside of an application on Android, they're considered intents. You know about intents. I see a ton of intents inside of your code. But you got to try to think about intents as physical screens. If this was a website, different pages on this one website. You know, it's still one website, one app, but if this was Amazon.com, right? The product page where you got a list of products, or the profile page where your profile is, those would be considered intents inside of an Android application. Now, in your application, you only have one main intent that you created, right? You only have one screen. That's that one screen, you know, your main screen. That's just the one screen. So naturally, to assume you don't have many intents because you only built one screen. When you physically leave the application to, let's say, go get an email or go get an image or go get a picture or whatever you do, those are more intense. Those are different websites in the those are different websites. Those are different web pages. If this was a website, I couldn't get it out. Anyway, I didn't want the phone to fall asleep there. That's why I touched it. Anyway, so with these, when you call a different intent, you're calling a totally different screen. Now, don't confuse different screens with dialog boxes. A dialog would be just like a pop-up on the website. It's just you still own that physical intent. You still own that physical URL. You just have pop-ups on top of it or whatever. Okay, so for instance, we were trying to, in your app, go to get an image from the camera or get it from a directory with images, you know, the media, the gallery. When you do that, you're physically leaving the application. You're starting a new intent. When you come back to the app, you're restarting the original intent that we were on. Or restart is a different term because it doesn't reload that code again. It kind of does too. You know what? That's hard to explain. I am going to explain that, but I'm jumping too far ahead. Okay, so how does your app know if you left the entire app? If you started a new intent, if you left the screen, how does it know when you come back to the screen? That's where your crashes were happening. When you came back to the app, when the other intent was done doing its job, and then this intent was reactivated. I don't want to say restarted, but reactivated. That's where the crashes were happening because the app didn't know what to do or where it came from, why did I leave and why did I come back, and what to do with the data when I do come back and all that. Why was I gone? All right, so let's look at your code here, and this is originally your zip file, unedited, anything. I just open it up here, and that's why it looks like a different J than the rest of the J's, because it's not even inside of no app. It's just a text document. All right, so if you look, we're going to go to when you do your importing here. So let's look at the choose photo from source, and then choose from an existing photo. Here you have it right here. You starting a new intent, you creating the new intent, and then starting it here. Now this physically leaves when this is called, this physically leaves the app and loads a different screen. When you come back to the app from any intent that is a start activity for result intent. There's different types of intent. If you just have if your app had multiple screens, you only got one screen in your app. If you had two different screens, it would just be start intent. It wouldn't be started in activity for result, because you don't want a result from your other screen. It's just your screens. You started that. Anyway, so when it comes back to the app, what piece of code is ran? Let's go down here. On activity results. You probably already knew this. This is called when the app has returned. This is a global generic term, method. The reason why I say it's generic is because it doesn't know, you can leave the app for all kinds of reasons. You want to go get an email, you want to leave the app. You want to go get an MP3, you want to get an image. You can't, just because we're making an image application, this particular line of code has nothing to do with images. It's just you left the app. When you come back, now it's like, okay, I'm back. The way I want to describe that is like the on-click listener. The on-click listener method, when you set that up, is generic. It doesn't care if it was clicked by a button, it was clicked by an image. It doesn't matter. If you click something, it's going to say, hey, you click. It's up to the developer to determine what was clicked when it's invoked. And that's where the issue was having when you were having your crashes, because when it came back in your code, you were automatically assuming that you came back from an image, from going to get the image. You didn't say, hey, if you came back because we got an MP3, do this. Or if you came back because of this, then do this. I know you don't need to do that because you're not dealing with music or images or GPS data, whatever you left the app for. But you needed to tell the application, this is why I'm back, now do this. And let me show you how to do that. So the first chunk of data that is returned back is a result code. The result code is when we came back to the app, so we left. This was called because we came back. That's the only reason why this method is called in the first place. So when I came back, did I come back okay? Was there an error while I came back? Did the user just press back, or did I come back because of, a crash or something? But did I come back okay? Did I come back perfect? And then this is how you ask that question. Yes, I did come back okay, or yes, I didn't come back okay. And the result code is a number. It's an integer. It's not a boolean or true or false or string. It's a number. And so you could have said here on your result, you could say, result okay, I think is 1. And cancel is 0. It's like, hey, he didn't come back okay. So this code should still work exactly the same. But what you did here is say, hey, Android, what is your result code? Use that number, whatever you use normally Android for your result code, which is probably, it may not even be 1, might be 2 or something. I'm not sure. And then you said, hey, Android, whatever you use for your cancel, use that number here, please. And it does it automatically for you there. All right, so now we came back okay. But now we have to ask, all right, I came back okay from wherever I came back from. Where the hell did I come back from? Did I come back from going to get an email? Did I come back from going to get an image? What did I come back for? And that's what you would do here. The result request code is where you get the who requested this intent. When it was requested to leave out, who was that guy? So what you would do is say, if I got back here because of, and let me just... So I created the if statement there. If I came back result code because of, let's say, equals, if I came back because of 452, then run this line of code here. Well, what the heck is 452, right? The result code is a number. It has to be a number. And it's you determine what you want your result code to be. If you left because of an MP3, you need to set up, hey, MP3s are now 7. When you come back from MP3, that's 7. Or if you went to go get an image, that's 4. If you went to go get GPS data, that's 25. Let's go back to the intent that we created that left the app in the first place. And this is still your code here. This is not working code. This is not the code I built. All right, so here's your intent here. And this is where we determine the result code. You say, here's my intent I want to start. And here's the result code I want to use when I come back. So if I wanted to do this what is this? This is when you choose an image from a gallery. Okay, so if I wanted to use that, then I would go to here and I would say, here it is, 452. That's what I want to use. That's going to be, so I need to tell the intent. That's what I want to use. 452. So now if it's 452, so when it comes back, no matter how it got back, if it equals 452, I know it's because we went to go get that image. And so run this line of code, whatever I put here. But okay, so now let's go to my app now that we understand that, and let's really look at. Let me undo all of this here in your app, in your code rather. Now let's look at it here. All right, so we're looking at the import menu, and we chose to import an app from the gallery. Excuse me. So again, your line of code I think was pretty much right here. This is something extra. We can talk about that later, but this is this I used to clean up the images. It's just it was crashing so much because of the images weren't. There were multiple copies of images. It's just a big mess. Anyway, so okay, so I had like a out of memory error there on my computer. I guess I'm talking too long, but let's continue. I think I left off. I was showing you the garbage collection method that I created here. Okay, so excuse me. So we have the let's see. We start the intent. We put our custom number in there. That's what I did here in my version of the app. We go down to the hey, I'm back now method. That's what I call it. I'm back now, so let's run some code. Well, I came back okay. So now, if I came back because of 3, do this. And this is where, so we're dealing with the picking the image from a gallery and then loading it to our canvas. So in order to do that, and this code is a little difficult, even I don't understand it 100%, but I can try to explain as best as I can. What I do here is, I forgot to explain. So when you do come back from grabbing an image, or do come back from grabbing an MP3, or do come back from grabbing some email text, or do come back from doing something, where is that physically stored at? Where is that information? I came back from getting MP3. Where the heck is my MP3? That's in the data here. In that data, it can be just random zeros and ones. It can be random bits, or text. It can be MP3s, whatever. In this case, we're going to treat it like a link location, so to speak. Just, where the memory card / whatever .jpeg or whatever, because we wouldn't got the image that was stored. We just want to get the store location. What I do here is grab that data out of there, the location, save it as a string into a string array. No, I'm sorry, save a string array of multiple locations that are on the device as default. Where do you normally store media data? Where do you normally store this kind of data? Right here, I'm only choosing one. Why am I using an array if I only need one? Because the next variable needs an array in order to operate. And the reason I think Google developed this array like that was because if there were multiple, say you were grabbing MP3 music and data and all of that, instead of having this 7 times down here, it's just one, and then you can store each one in each array. And what this does is count the number of arrays that are stored so far. So since this is one, so Google wouldn't have to do something like add another comma here, and say 45 different things. Then you have to copy this 45 times. You know what I'm saying? Instead of doing that, I think what Google does is take this and say, how big are you? When you click, I can ask myself. So if you do dot length, you can get a number of how many items are there in this array. In this case, just one. But in our case here, we only need one, but it's set up for multiple, so we have to set up for multiple as well. Okay, so after all this code here, we finally got the location of the image, which is the file path. Oh, and I got a message there on my Galaxy. So we got the file path here. Now, the bitmap. This is a cool piece of code here. I've been using it for some time now. If you give it the location of an image, it'll go to that location, grab the image, and decode it and make it into a bitmap for you, instead of a JPEG or GIF or whatever it normally is when you go grab it. And it's pretty slick compared to code I thought I had to use before, which was actually read the physical bits, the zeros and ones, and try to make that into an image, a bitmap array, and it's crazy. Anyway, now we have the physical image. This code, don't mind, you can delete it. I just needed it for testing purposes. This code here is pretty awesome. This is where I created my own algorithm that takes the image that we got. So we went to the directory, the user found the image they wanted, and now what I'm doing is seeing how big is that image. With this algorithm, I am determining, I was having a lot of crashes where the image was so large that I ran out of RAM on the device to store the image. So what I did with this algorithm was it's small and it's unique, but it's awesome. I love it. I worked really hard on it. What it does is take the image and pretty much determines how much RAM is on the device, determines how big the image is, and if that proportion is correct to not cause a crash. Can that image be stored on this device? If not, let's make it a little smaller. Can that one be stored? No? Okay, well, let's try to make it a little bit smaller. And I try to keep the highest quality. That's why I wrote the algorithm like that. If it's HD and the RAM on the phone can only handle 480p, then we keep going down until we get to 480p. I don't make it 10 by 10. That will work, right? It's small enough, but that's just the quality would be horrible on the device. So try to keep the highest quality. All right, so now the image has been resized. Now what I do is, all this is junk code. You can erase it if you want. Now what I do is, I want to get the orientation. So I got to read the EXIF data. I'm not sure if you're familiar with EXIF data with images. In the EXIF data, you can read the GPS location where the picture was taken, the date and time stamp when the picture was taken, the orientation of the image, was it landscape and all that. And with EXIF data, landscape and portrait, and then upside down portrait, upside down landscape are all indicated with numbers. So like, I don't know the number code offhand, but like 8 is landscape upside down, and 6 is landscape, and 1 is portrait, and that kind of stuff like that. But so what I did here is first I created a new integer, a new number, and just called it orientation. Then set its default value to 1. Just like if I never can read the EXIF data, then set it to 1, which should be straight up and down, whatever. Now I do a try and catch method to try to read the EXIF data. I make a new EXIF file. I don't like the way I wrote this code. I'm about to rewrite it as we speak. I don't like this. What did I do all that for? Let's do this here. Yeah. Alright, cool. Save. Alright, so I make some I declared the variable EXIF interface. This is cool because it's built in Android. And I give it a name. And then I said make a new version of it here. And from what data from this file here, which is the file path that we got from the data that we got from the on result. Alright, so now we have that file. I want to read the orientation out of it. And this is what you can do to read the orientation. Get the tag out. And then what this does is, hey, can I get it out? Was I able to get it? No. If I'm not, then it equals 1. That's my default value for it. And I already set a default value here, too. The reason why I got a default value here and there is because if it... Uh-oh, I lost my place. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. So if the app... if we try it and it fails... still make this 1. If we try it here and it fails, make it 1. And we get a lot of troubleshooting out of the way, Alright, so then after all that is done, even though, so I got the orientation, but I didn't make this image if it was the wrong orientation. I didn't make the image the correct orientation yet. We're not doing that yet. I just wanted to get. I just want to know it. Is it 6? Is it 8? Is it a 2? What is the orientation? I just want to know it. Okay, so now that I got everything set up in the drawing view on your canvas, I do drawing view.setBitmap. I know you're familiar with this because in the drawing view we can do .setColor or get color. This is your main powerful. This is what it was powering your whole app. You know, my drawing view. Okay, so I created this new method inside of your drawing view called SetBitmap, and I stuff it with the image itself, the new one that's been resized, and then the orientation number, which should be 1 if there's no orientation, or 8 if that's the orientation. And then we're done because we got the image. Now, what does this do? When this is called, what is ran? Let's look into my drawing view here. And it's pretty simple little code. It was a lot more than this, but all right. So the first thing I do is I run some. So the Bitmap is the image that your canvas is at this moment. So if the user already drew 4 lines of picture or drew a smiley face, that's what this is physically. Now, what I say is just like clean it up. Like not, it's hard to explain, but if there is data there that was past data, or Android's trying to save extra data or doing some funky stuff with it, clean it out. I don't need none of that extra save cache data, none of that. Just clean it out for me, please, because I don't have enough RAM on this device to be doing all that crazy stuff. And then I say clear all the paths out, erase the entire canvas. I actually erased the entire canvas later on, but when the user was drawn on the screen, erase all that out for me, please. All right, now I get the bitmap that we stuffed in here, which should be, when we called it, we stuffed image number 2 into here. And I want to rescale it. Let's say we brought in an image that was 1020 by 460 or whatever, whatever it is. I want to scale it so it fit the screen size that we have physically in front of us. So I'll grab the bitmap, rescale it to the imported width and imported height. What I do is I measure the height and width of the screen when we first create the application. When the first application is born, I set these numbers. What is the width of the screen? What's the height of the screen? The reason why I do it when it's first born instead of doing it when I create this code, when this line is normally you would do something like that, like when you run this code, ask the screen itself, hey screen, what are your sizes, your height and width? Okay, that's what you are. Let me go ahead and use that. The reason why I didn't do that is because when you import, when you take, I use this exact code too, when you take a picture with the camera for some reason, I don't know if it's just on the Galaxy S3 or what, the camera restarts the application. And that's why earlier I didn't mention restarting, because it doesn't restart. It's not supposed to restart. So imagine when I run this code, I came back from the camera, I run this code, the screen doesn't exist anymore. So when I ask what the screen size is, it says, what screen size are you talking about? And it crashes. So that was that issue with that. Alright, so now we have the new sized image. Let's go ahead and rotate it. What I do here is take our main image is going to equal a rotated version of this bitmap here. And what orientation should it be? It's the orientation that we stuffed in here, 6 or 4 or whatever. And we can look at the rotation code. It's pretty simple. Take the source, in case if the rotation number is, here's the number here. If it's a 6, rotate it 90 degrees, rotate it 80 degrees if it's 3, rotate it 70 degrees if it's 270 if it's that. Okay? Pretty simple stuff. Now that we got the image rotated, you wipe the canvas out for me. Set the canvas's background to our image here. Go ahead and clean up this. I did rotation null. Clean up to get rid of this guy. He's just in the way now, taking the memory. We don't need to take up no more memory. We don't have much to begin with. And that's how we import from picking from the gallery. All right, now let's go ahead and take a picture with it. This is a lot simpler. Let's go ahead and take a picture. So here's the code that we use to choose from the gallery. Right underneath it, the code that we use to get from the camera. Now with your code, you had the first bit right, you didn't have the second bit, in my estimation, right? So right here, you just start a new activity. This is how you call, like if you had different activities in your, if you had different intents inside of your app, this is how you would call them, definitely. Like if you had your home screen and then your about screen and then your drawing the picture screen. If you had these three different screens, you would do start activity and your new intent for that screen. You would create that intent here first and then do that. But what we want to do is this again. And in my code, that's what it did. Start this new on result activity. But then this time I give it a code of 5. Why did I choose 5? Because I like that number, whatever. You can use anything. 674, it doesn't matter. As long as when we come back, we ask for that number. Alright, and so here we came back okay. Result code wasn't 3. What was it then? It was 5. Oh, okay. It's 5, then we run this bit of code. This is super simple. What I'm doing here is before we needed to get the URL of the URI of the data, the SD card backslash this backslash that. That's what we needed. Now we have the physical bits, the zeros and ones. All I'll do is bundle those bits together, decode them out, and make an image out of them. I mean, it's super simple. If that all went successful, then if it's not null, if it went successful, then go ahead and set it to the canvas. What happens when I do this? And I set it. I gotta stuff the. What does this need? Here's that line here. I need the image and I need the rotation. Well, when I'm getting it from the camera, I couldn't get the EXIF data from the when you just took a picture. It was as if the EXIF data wasn't created yet or something. But I know that's not the case. But I couldn't get it, so that's something you can fix on your own time or whatever. But I just manually put in 1. I said every image that comes in is going to be 1, and it seems to be working so far, at least on the Galaxy S3. And that's the only device I tested on. I have the LG Optimus, but I haven't tested it on that yet. All right, so we run the code here. In fact, I think I got my Optimus on me now. No, I don't. All right. Anyway, we run the code here. What happens? This line here exactly the same way. Run it, bam, and then set it to the canvas. All right, let's see this code running. And I'm going to physically press run, start it here, and let's see it running here. And it should start loading in a sec. Pretty fast there. It's a little washed out. Sorry about that. You just got to take what we got here. Alright, so you see it's still your app. It works as normal. Oh, one of the things I fixed I forgot to tell you is the color picker. See how you got black and then black there? When you pick a color, hit OK. When you go back, it's not. I've got it fixed so that it's the default color, the color you just picked. That wasn't working before. If you run your code and try it, you'll see this is not showing you the last previous color. See blue? Now that's blue. Oh, now that's blue. And we got that. Shows you your last color and the color you just picked. Hit OK. Alright, so that's fixed. You can't really tell, huh? Let me see what we can do to fix this real quick. If I go to device, take the exposure down by 1 more notch. Let's see here. Okay. Now let's see. That's a little better. Alright, so now what we want to do, import an image from, let's start off with there's your import. Let's start off with choosing from a directory of gallery. And there's my beautiful daughter. But let's choose from the camera. Oh, not that. Okay, here we go. Here's the grand test. We're going to import this image here. Here we go, 3, 2. Dun, 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 dun. There it is. It's working. You can draw right on top of it. Now let's try one more. And I'm going to purposely choose one I know has the wrong orientation, which is, go to camera here, or the speaker. You can't really tell, but this is it here. The speaker is laying on its side. Keep that in mind. But when I took it like rotated. So it should be, if it was importing it wrong, it would be on the other side. And we can try to I can break the app a little to show you the broken part, to show you it not working. But look, it imported it just fine. The speaker is on this right, on the side like it's supposed to be. Everything is working with that. Now let's go ahead and take a picture. I'm going to put the mic down. I might still talk, so it might be low. I'm already getting low, I know, but all right, let's give it a shot. Hold on. Import. Take photo. This screen is all of my applications that can take images. This is default with Android. If your phone has multiple things to take pictures with, then this is going to pop up as well. But this is my default camera app here. Alright, and now let's take an image. Let's go ahead and take it crooked anyway. And let's try to focus here a little bit. Oh. You can't really, I'm out of the screen, out of the shot, huh? There we go. Okay, so you kind of can, jeez, let's just take this picture quick. I need to, okay. So let's save that. And now there it is, imported just fine. And it's working. Alright, so, and I think I can import that picture I took. It should be saved to the, yeah, there's that picture there. Saved to my regular camera roll. And I can import it again. Alright, that is importing in a nutshell. You can